So I'd just like to talk a little about what my entrepreneurship journey has been, and the learnings on the way, right? So before we get into that, I think I need to give a little more background about who I am and what I've been doing so far. So I'm from a very small town in Haryana, and it all started from there. Small towns are really awesome place, right? Like, you don't have any hobby classes, you don't have anything. Like, what children are doing is, they're either doing their homework or they're playing gully cricket. So that's what I was doing throughout my school life as well. But then came the time when I was supposed to decide which career path I want to take. And honestly telling you, I had no clue what an engineer is supposed to do. What exactly computer science is, what exactly an engineer is supposed to do. But some very smart person came in and told me that, oh, you love math, you should definitely become an engineer. And given that I didn't have any other ideas, I decided like, okay, that's the way I'm going to take. So I worked really, really hard to prepare for an exam, which I didn't know what that leads to. And luckily, I got into one of the best colleges in India. So things became a little very different once I went to the college. I actually realized like how different my school life, my education has been compared to all my fellow students that were there in the same college. That was the time when I actually felt that there is a strong need for somebody to do something about education in India. Right? Everybody around me had so much exposure to the world that I had just no idea about. I had no clue. Like, I was just restricted to the small area that I was in, and I just knew about people, what they are doing at that small place. I actually even had a pact with a friend of mine that we will actually open a school back in our hometown when we turn 40. Luckily, I still have 10 more years to do that. So that's where the dream to start something in education, to do something in education started. Right? So right after I graduated from college, I became a programmer, I became a software developer. I worked in companies like Amazon and Facebook, which was a great experience. I think the best part about computer science is that you can actually write something, you can make something that will start getting used by people all over the world. That's not what traditional business can do. Because you build something, you have to wait for a long time before the product actually gets out, it starts going to other markets, and it starts getting popular. And it takes a long time. But the power of computer science is you can write your code today, and that will become available to everybody, everywhere, just the next day itself. So even now when I think back about my journey at Facebook or Amazon, I think the best moment was, so we were working on something called Timeline, the way you know Facebook user profiles right now. So I was part of the team before Timeline got launched. And the best moment of my career till that point was that the day we launched it, there were more than 100 million people who were using something that I had written. That was a really empowering moment for me, that I felt that I have actually done something that is getting used by so many people. Right? So that's basically the power of computer science. So things were absolutely awesome. Like, that was my dream job. I was just loving it. But then something pops up in my head, which basically changed everything. I think all of us have to answer one small question sometime in our life. What do we need from this life that we have? What do you want to achieve out of it? Everybody has to answer this question. Some people answer it in their 20s, some people answer it in their 30s, and some people answer it later sometime. For me, as soon as this question popped up, it was very clear that I cannot keep doing what I'm doing right now. Although I love it. I was loving my work at Facebook, I was loving everything that I was doing. But it was very clear that I cannot keep doing this, whatever I'm doing right now. That's not something that basically can make me keep working hard. That's when the thought of starting something, like becoming an entrepreneur, came to my head. What I basically wanted to do is, I wanted to get somewhere that Mondays are not bad. I wanted to get to a point that I don't hate Mondays. I wanted to get to a point where I'm not waiting all week that the weekend is going to come and I'm going to have my life. Right? Those weekdays are 5/7 of your life, and basically almost everybody in this world is waiting to get to the weekend so that they can actually live their life. So that's basically what I wanted to change. And that's when I thought that maybe I need to start something that will keep me working hard, and that will keep me motivated to achieve something more than what I've been doing so far right now. So there was this big confusion in my head that, do I really want to leave this dream job that I've worked so hard for and want to start something that has no idea, like I had no idea whether it's going to work or not. I asked a lot of people, and honestly I didn't get any good answer, because that nobody can really help you out in that. But luckily at the same moment, at around the same time, I watched a video which was an interview of Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos is founder of Amazon.com. So in that interview he talks about how he decided to leave his awesome job at Wall Street. So he was a banker in a hedge fund, getting paid really, really well. And he decided to leave that and start Amazon.com. And it's not 2008 I'm talking about. Amazon.com started in 1994. Like, a lot of us would not have heard of internet at that point. At least I have not heard of it. Right? So that was the time when he decided that he wants to leave his job and start Amazon.com. So he talks about in that interview, how did he decide to start Amazon.com and leave his job. So similar to me, he was trying to figure out a framework, a way so that we can take a calculated decision rather than just going by the gut. And he came up with a very, very interesting idea. He came up with something called regret minimization framework. It's a very, very geeky way of putting it. It's a very simple concept. The way he says is, you should try and put yourself 20 years ahead of your time and try to see which decision will lead to minimum regret. I'm telling you, it's a very, very simple idea, but it's very empowering. What it allows you to do is, it allows you to step away from everything that is happening around you right now. It makes you look at the bigger picture. As soon as I saw that video, basically it became very, very clear to me that if I try and I fail, I won't regret it. Like, if you try something that you really want to do and you fail on it, like, I don't think you will regret that. But something that you wanted to do and you don't do it, that is something that you will definitely regret. So that was basically really a life-changing idea that basically got me into what I'm doing right now. That's actually something that I have applied to many, many decisions in my life. And if you just keep this in your head, I'm telling you, like, a lot of decisions will become very, very easy for you as well. Okay, so the next thing basically for me was whether to be in US or come back here. I think that was an easy decision for me, because I knew if I want to solve a problem, if I want to start something and I solve a problem, I'll relate to people here, I'll relate to the problems that people face here, rather than solving something outside India. So from last 4.5 years, I've been trying to, I'm working on the various ideas in education domain, and it has been amazing. So whatever I've talked about, if you'll see, the first thing I talked about is how I wanted to do something in education, how I loved programming, and how I wanted to start something to have a bigger impact. And I'm living all those three dreams right now. I am using technology to solve education problems, and I'm basically, I think I'm having a much bigger impact than I could have while working for Facebook. So, if you will look at this whole thing, the whole idea has been around, I really wanted to do something that will keep me going. And I think that's what basically has been very, very important for me. So does that mean everybody here should start their own company? Everybody here should join a startup and leave their jobs? That's definitely not true. So the question came, what do I want from my life? And that's basically what the answer to my problem was. So I think everybody needs to answer that question sometime down the line. Like, at some point you will have to answer that. What do you want from your life? And when you can answer that, you will get to know what path you want to take. Being an entrepreneur is very, very hard journey. It's super hard. So, but the best part about this has been, it started with the quest to make an impact to people. I think the biggest impact it has made is to myself. I've learned so much. I could have never thought about learning anything besides coding. That was basically what I wanted to do. I wanted to program. I wanted to write code to make programs, make computers work. But being an entrepreneur, I have been writing code. I have learned a lot more new technologies. I have been doing a lot of marketing. I have to hire people. Then I have to manage those people. And list doesn't stop anywhere. Like, you have to do whatever it takes for the business to run. And you have to go through all of that. So I think the two main benefits out of being an entrepreneur is, first, the kind of impact you can have. And second, the amount of learnings you will take out of it. It's just amazing. Now, what is it, like, so a lot of people will ask me now, like, what is it required to be an entrepreneur? I think the first thing that is required is, you need to have passion towards the problem you're trying to solve. I'm telling you, it's full of ups and downs. It's full of ups and downs, and for you to get out of those downs, you need to have the passion that you really want to solve this problem. Whatever it takes, I'm going to solve this problem. That's something that is very, 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 very important. So, as I said, from last 4.5 years, I've been trying to do something. The first 3 companies I started, they failed within 6 months of starting. Within 6 months, I had to shut down operations on 3 of them. Now, that requires, it's very, very painful, right? Like, the amount of work you put in, seeing all that go down the drain is very, very painful. And you need to be ready to deal with failure. Because most likely the startups are going to fail, right? Like, whichever startup you're going to start, like, it's going to fail. Because the stats say that 90% of startups are going to fail. Only 10% will give some return. And I'm not talking about huge return, I'm talking about some return, right? So you need to have, the second quality you really need to have is ability to deal with failure. Even now people come up and tell me that how big an idiot I am to doing whatever I'm doing right now. So you need to be ready to deal with failure as well as criticism. And when you are down, the third thing that is very, very important is the support system that you need to build around yourself. I have been extremely lucky that throughout my journey, my wife, my parents, my siblings, everybody has been super supportive about whatever I'm doing. Whenever the thought even crosses my head that I can't do it, I have a lot of people telling me, no, you can. Go ahead and you will be able to do it. I have been very, very lucky. This is not the norm. I'm telling you, I have friends, like I have a friend whose father didn't speak to him for 8 months because he wanted to leave his job and start something. And that happens a lot of times. So you need to build that social support, but then again you need to be able to say, I am going to do it. Whoever says no to that, it doesn't matter. You need to be ready to take on whoever basically is saying no to you. Few things that I really feel people start a company because of and are actually absolutely wrong. The biggest thing that a lot of people start because of, it's cool to do a startup. It's not cool to do a startup. I'm telling you, it's painful to do a startup. You should not do it because it's cool. Because if you are going to do it just because of that, I can assure you, you are not going to succeed. You are going to succeed only if you feel, this is the problem that I really want to solve. The second bad idea, because of which you can start a company, which will be a really bad thing again, if you want to make quick money. The last thing that you should assume in a startup is that you will make quick money. That happens because we hear about stories, people making millions and billions, and that's the only thing we get to know. Because you don't get to know how much effort they have put in before they can make any money. You don't know about people who fail. We only get to hear about people who succeed. Nobody is going to come and tell you. I can give you hundreds of examples of people who have tried and they failed. Because I am also part of that support ecosystem, because I have also failed multiple times, and I know enough people who have failed as well. The third thing, You don't get to be your own boss. Okay? Just forget about it. You don't get to be your own boss. You do not get enough holidays. A lot of people come and tell me, oh man, you have your own company. You can take a holiday whenever you want to. I am telling you, that doesn't happen. Because you have responsibility of thousands of customers, your employees, you will feel a lot more burdened compared to when you are doing a job. The best part about doing a job, you just have to take care of your work. Everything else, you don't really have to worry about it. Being an entrepreneur, you will have to worry about each and everything. So a lot of people come and ask me, you are saying 90% of the startups are going to fail, right? So isn't this a big gamble? Why would you want to do such a big gamble? The best part about this gamble is, I'm not betting on cards. I'm not betting on horses. I'm betting on myself. I'm betting on my skill. That I can achieve something. I can do it. So that's what I'm betting on. That's the best bet that you can place. I'm betting that I can do something and I'm not going to listen to anybody else. The second best part about this gamble, even if you fail, you would have learned so much, you would have changed so much that you will be a lot more valuable to any company or society in general. This is the best gamble that you can make. Everything you are going to do in your life is going to be a gamble, but I'm telling you this is the best gamble that you can take. Most of us have so much energy inside us that can only come out when we are working on something that we love. All of you should spend at least 2 minutes today thinking about, are you really doing what you love? Because if you are not, I'm telling you, just try to think of other things that you would like to do and try to put yourself through the regret minimization framework. It's an amazing, amazing idea that you will never regret that you choose. Thank you.